Cool. All right, Jordan, give me another countdown. Third time's the charm.
Yeah, I think we're gonna make
We do need 3 tries.
Okay. 3, 2, 1.
Hey guys, welcome on into this week's episode of the Big Access Podcast. Today we have Seth Johnson with Blackwire here to talk to us all about who Blackwire is, their unique take on security distribution, and also Control4, which is a really cool integration that they have built. And I'm sure all of you guys are well aware of who Control4 is, what Control4 does. And so we're going to talk about how PDK works with that and how Blackwire went about building this integration. So Seth, thank you a ton for joining us today, pal.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here.
Hey, well, we are happy to have you. I'm pretty dang excited to talk about all of these topics that we're going to be talking about in today's episode. This is a very unique integration, and it's not only is it unique because of what it does, but it's also unique because it's an integration that we didn't go about building, and Control4 didn't go about building it. You guys built the driver there, so it's very cool. You guys definitely have a very unique way of going to market. And so let's go ahead and dive right in. So why don't you first go ahead and tell us a little bit about who Blackwire is, and then what you saw in, as far as a need to integrate Control4 and PDK together.
Sure. Well, Blackwire is a value-add distributor, and we primarily serve like in the CEDIA space. So guys who go to CEDIA and do home automation, home technology, home security, all that good fun stuff, home theaters. And some of your listeners may be thinking that's not fun. That's dangerous work to get into, and I understand. But we do have a lot of customers that bridge the gap, right? They sell home automation and they sell security, or they primarily work in sports bars and they sometimes do home automation. So, and then some guys we have do like big giant jobs like casinos and that kind of thing. So it just really, we see everything, and we have seen everything, just about everything. Over the past, I don't know, like 10, 11 years, I think now, maybe 12, a little bit longer. So yeah, but what we like to do with our products is we like to find products that work really well and are very reliable. And we like to, first and foremost, like more than anything, we like to have them integrate. We like to be able to write something for them to, again, add value to what we're selling. So like in PDK's case, you guys have an API, and we talked with you guys, worked with you guys early on, and we're able to develop a solution for the Control4 system. But we have many tools available for our dealers, like a configuration thing for video distribution systems, where you can go in and just type in your inputs and outputs and that kind of thing, and it spits out a nice little report for our guys at the office to actually program the entire system before it leaves, like a firmware updates, program, it leaves our shop labeled, and you get documentation ready to go. Like this port plugs in here, do this, and everything's ready to go.
And
it's
so
all tied.
Cool.
Yeah. It's all tied back to your account. So like if you ever have a issue and the switch dies, you need firmware, or you need the firmware and you need the configuration, we've got it on file. It's really nice for those kind of things. So
I mean, that when you're mentioning that, that's really going above and beyond for your customers. It kind of mimics what we do here at PDK, where we're partner fanatics. We want to make sure that everything is simple and easy for our partners. And I mean, for you guys to be able to do all of that extra work that nobody else does, that's pretty spectacular, man.
Yeah, we don't want to just be shipping boxes. Like you can, but at the end of the day, you're going to run into a problem and that you can't help or solve or fix, or you should have been caught along the sales process. And we have all sorts of tools to help with that. Like with linear lighting, that's another thing we do. There's a million different products, but also like within each individual manufacturer, there's a million different SKUs that go along with it. And you have to have just everything just right along the way. You have to voltage is right. You have your voltage drop, your wire size, all this stuff that matters. And so we have a tool that'll be coming out towards CEDIA, so like towards September, about a month away from now, that just, you draw a line. You go on your floor plan, you draw a line. It's 10 feet worth of wire. It does all the calculations. It figures out what power supplies you need, what dimmer you're connected to, or if you're doing DMX controls, it kind of documents all that for you too. Prints out a nice little report of all the stuff you need to get. And there's actually an add to cart button, which is, where we come in.
Well, there you go. That's pretty sweet.
We make it easy. We're trying to make the sales process easy. We're trying to make the install process easy, which on the stuff that just It's a little more complicated than it should be, but with a little bit of knowledge and a little bit of automation is really where we fall. Like, we love automation. We're able to do a lot more for our customers by utilizing computers. A lot of guys out there is like, oh, just fax me your PO. It's like, really? Like, no.
That's yeah. We're a little bit more up to the times, right?
2023, right? Exactly.
That's awesome. So talk to me a little bit about what you guys were seeing when you guys brought PDK on board, and kind of the process of looking at that in comparison with Control4, and why you thought that they were so good together.
I think if I go back, and I have to go way back to remember, because we've been working with you guys for a couple of years, and I'm not involved too much on the product, side of things, but things come in and I hear the conversations. I'm pretty sure you guys had some really high mark recommendations from some of our dealers, and they were telling us, hey, you guys should look at PDK. And we did, and you guys had an API, and I kind of looked around and said, there's really nothing that integrates with Control4 outside of maybe like a random alarm panel that has like access control abilities. There's a couple out in the market that do that, but not like a full actual access control system, right? That has the full hierarchy and all the features that you guys have. Well, that any real access control system has. It's either like added on or just kind of like parts and pieced together. And there really wasn't anything out there that does what PDK does and has an API that's open where we can, well, not really open, but like open enough where we can integrate it with a control system like Control4. So we saw that. We decided, obviously bring in the product because it sounded really good. We started testing it, and so it definitely met and exceeded some of the expectations we had. And then we started working with the API and integrations, and worked with your team a couple of times, actually. There were some things that we were doing that you probably weren't the most efficient for your side of things, and they was like, "Hey, can you lay off some of these API calls?" And we went back and forth and kind of figured out how to make things just right. And I think we've got a really solid integration. We're really proud of it. It's probably one of the fastest drivers, and that's what we call them, that we have for a Control4 system to install and set up. It is super fast to do within the Control4 ecosystem, and probably one of the easiest I've ever installed.
And what does that process look like for a dealer who's going out there and wants to get that going? What does it take to get that driver up and running?
You just download it from our website. There's a special folder on your computer that you put drivers into with your Control4 dealer, and you know how to do that. You install there's a PDK cloud driver essentially that you install on the system. There's a license that when you purchase a driver on our website, you'll fill that out and it'll go right in. It'll be assigned to the system and show up on your account as well. And then the easiest part here is for the integration. There is a special email address that you add. You give permission to either the project or all the way up the tree. You can just do blanket everything. And then what you do is you add the, I think you guys call it the OU number. It's kind of the number that's in the URL. And it's all in our documentation. You paste that into the driver, hit set. It downloads all of the panels that are attached to that particular OU, and will set up everything that we need to have set up for live integration with the project. So it at that point, there's a couple of like smaller drivers that we have that are included that will work with the PDK integration, or you can just use a regular relay driver in Control4, and just you can open and lock and unlock a door with just by tapping one button. It makes it really easy, and it just kind of extends the interface that you have through PDK, like say on your app of your phone app, or through the website into the Control4 ecosystem. And we actually worked with you guys on graphics and that kind of thing. So the graphics kind of match up and everything looks really nice within the drivers as well.
That's way cool. So let's talk about what happens after that driver is hooked up and after it's ready to roll. So obviously at that point you've got you got PDKIO, you got Control4, they're talking to each other. But what is kind of like the purpose of it? What do you control on the PDK system from your Control4 software?
So you control the node. So you control that we set it up as a door or a gate or anything like that, whatever you have it programmed as. It is kind of strange to kind of think about because you really don't have this type of integration outside of Control4. It's kind of one of the first things. We give you a couple of options to use. So there's a little like an icon button. I don't know if you can see them. they're behind me back here.
There you go. Oh, nice.
So you have if you have a Control4 touchscreen, and I have a very large touchscreen here. This is kind of one of the fun things that I have to play with. But you can just tap the button and it will unlock and lock the door. And we also have just a security interface. This is the security interface that's included with all Control4 installs. And just generically, you can enter your code and arm and lock the door, and the status will be relayed back. My panel's sitting right over there, so you can't see it. It's a little out of frame. There,
Yeah.
it locked back. So the delay and everything locked back. We have the zone from the DPS in there, the door position sensor as well. So that all gets triggered and relayed back as well. And if so, just a simple unlock and lock. Like say you had at a light commercial installation, you were setting up and installing the boardroom or something like that, and they were doing access control with PDK. You can integrate the PDK and put like a small touch screen up before the receptionist to play music and integrate with the lights. But also there could be a button on there, just like what we saw here, where they could just buzz people in, press a button, and unlock the door. On the flip side of that, when somebody logs in or uses credentials through PDK, so like if you swipe one of your keys or you enter a code, that information is relayed back to Control4 as well, and we can take actions on that. So think of making like, I don't know, custom announcements. When, the boss man's here, everybody look busy, like that kind of thing. Like,
Yeah.
You could, the first person in the door that unarms the system, you could actually kick on the lights in the building. That the last person leaves, you can turn them off. There's all sorts of automation things that you can do on top of that, knowing, what's going on inside the PDK system.
Man, that is really cool, really simple, and it really makes everything to be that turnkey solution that customers are looking for and that end users really are demanding, right?
Yeah.
That's so cool. So let's talk about how customers get this. You already talked about that, partners can go out onto your website and they can go and enter in the license, go ahead and be able to get that. Is there a cost to that associated with it? Do they have to be a Blackwire dealer and buy all the PDK from you? How does that work for a dealer?
You don't have to buy the PDK gear from us, although we'd prefer it, but you don't have to. The PDK driver, there is a license key associated with it, or a license fee associated with the license key. I don't know the pricing offhand, but if you log into, you do have to be logged in as a Blackwire dealer.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So you don't have to be buying the PDK hardware, but obviously, you can get it all one-stop shop. So might as well do that. But no, that's really cool, and that's a really sweet integration. And again, this was something that Control4 didn't put together, PDK didn't put together. This is you guys at Blackwire, who you're really trying to make it where your partners, your installation partners are really successful in what they're doing. So that's really awesome. So how do partners get a hold of you guys? Where can they go to find Blackwire?
The easiest way is through our website, and it's an e-commerce portal basically. You just go over to the store. It's blackwiredesigns.com. Just head on over there. There is, if you're a dealer, there's a login button. Just log in there, search for PDK. It's probably one of the many things that search come up. The driver is, but also the PDK product will as well.
Yeah.
And then if you're not a dealer, I think the same login has a link there to how to sign up and join, and you can get more information that way on how to become a Blackwire partner.
That's awesome. Go out and check them out. Blackwire.com. Is that the website?
BlackwireDesigns.com, yeah.
BlackwireDesigns.com, perfect. Go ahead and do that. We'll leave a link to that in the description of this video, but we are out of time for today's episode. Thank you so much for joining us, Seth. This is a really cool integration. Be sure to reach out to Blackwire, get a little bit more information, and try this thing out with your end users. Let them see this. If you need to learn more about it as well, please feel free to reach out to our sales team. They can get a demo scheduled with us and with Blackwire so they can show you everything and how that works. And really get you all up to speed on this awesome integration that we've got. But again, thank you so much for joining us on this week's episode of the Big Access Podcast. If you have not already done so, be sure to subscribe to it, give it a 5-star rating, and then also let us know if there's any particular comments? That's not right. Any particular topics that you want to learn about. Anyways, guys, thank you again for joining us, and we'll see you next week.